December tarot reading. It's Sally, your friendly mystic. If you're new or old here, welcome. It's a pleasure and honor to be able to share energy and space with you. Now, if you are new to my tarot readings, you might want to stick around. But if you aren't, you're very familiar with tarot readings, you can jump to this timestamp. I should have a link in the description to get right into the reading. Otherwise, if you'd like, you can listen to a couple tips and tricks on how to interpret tarot readings as a viewer, or to interpret my tarot readings as a viewer. So this reading is intended for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any other particularly important Libra placements you might have. I won't get into the astrology of that in this video. I keep meaning to create a video about that. It's just not coming together. I think I'm supposed to wait for some more information, I guess. I'm not sure. But yeah, Sun, Moon, Rising, Libra, and any other important Libra placements you might have. My readings are timeless, so it's not really, my readings aren't for, this reading isn't for the month of December. It is just posted in the month of December. It's not about, I don't like to tie my readings to a timeline, though the reading itself might be timely for you. That's really going to depend. So if you find this a year from now, months from now, next year, 2021, like, if it's resonating with you, if this title drew you in, then it likely means this reading is meant for you. My readings are also very general, so I can't possibly read for every single Libra placement all at once. I can only really read for the Libra placements that resonate with me. So if you're a Libra Sun and you like me as a reader, then very likely it'll be a lot easier for my energy for me to be able to tap into your energy and vice versa. So I do also intend, or set the intention for the reading to be for those who need them most. So even if you resonate with me as a reader, maybe this month isn't for you because this isn't the message that you need, or you don't really need this message from me right now. So yeah, it's going to be general. Not all the details can apply to you. I will get little hints and messages for other subgroups within a larger group that I'm reading for. So as long as the strokes are resonating, the major strokes are resonating, this reading is meant for you. And I think I should always start my readings with this, but just take what resonates and leave the rest. If there are parts that don't fit, they're not resonating with you, then don't take them. You just leave them right on the table where you found them. And then a little disclaimer I want to put at the beginning of my videos around the terms feminine and masculine. I use these terms to describe energy. I do not use these terms generally to describe gender or sex. So if I'm describing a individual as a feminine energy in a reading, that person could be a man or woman or anything in between, or not in between. They could be an alien. They could have no gender, any gender. It doesn't really matter. It's really just about what energy are they harnessing or representing themselves as in the situation that I'm reading for. Because in some situations, we can really get into our feminine. We can really be relational. And other times we get into a more fiery, maybe Mars-like aspect, a more aggressive aspect, something more willful, more individualistic. So that's really going to depend, because we all contain both feminine and masculine energy. We are not purely one or the other. So if I describe a feminine energy, that's the energy, not the genitals or the gender identity. Nothing to do with that. I will sometimes say I see a man and a woman, or I see a mother and a daughter, father, son, etc. That's really just going to come as it comes, and that's going to be a particular message for a particular subgroup, or maybe even just one individual. I think so. If the energy of that person matches the situation, then that is then you can take that. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not that person just because they're a man and I'm describing a feminine energy. Is that a long enough explanation? I think it's time to get into the reading. Now, I like to start off my readings with a Major Arcana card. So this is going to be, this is a personal deck that I've collaged of just the Major Arcana that I pull one of to encapsulate the energy around the reading, and to also maybe illuminate any life lessons that are particularly important or meant to be taken in or learned through this situation. So that's going to be a little different for everybody, but generally I will, I think you'll know who you are. Well, that's not how that's supposed to go. But let's get into this reading, all right? Source, spirit guides, guardian angels, benevolent ancestors, please help me to connect with the collective of Libra and communicate the messages in their highest good for those that need it. Source, spirit guides, guardian angels, benevolent ancestors, please help me to connect with the collective of Libra and communicate the messages in their highest good for those that need it. Source, spirit guides, benevolent ancestors, guardian angels, please help me to connect with the collective of Libra and communicate the messages in their highest good for those that need it. Source, spirit guides, benevolent ancestors, please help me to connect with the collective of Libra and communicate the messages in their highest good. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I just did Gemini's reading. I tend to do all of the, I do all of one element at a time. But the card that came up was the Wheel of Fortune. This is the exact card that I pulled for Gemini. This is very unusual because I usually pull something a little different. I think the elements might be a little more in line, or I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of be, the universe and spirit are just so funny. I love them. But this is upright. So in Gemini was really resisting this. I do feel like this is more about something really positive coming in for you in the sense of the material. I will say that the same thing I said to Gemini is to not get caught up on the material representation of whatever this is. The way we can identify with pain and or self-identify as pain or self-identify as our circumstances, that can go both the positive or the negative. And it's just as harmful, I think, spiritually, to identify as the positive things in your life as it is to identify as the negative things in your life that are out of your control. So like if something really positive happens to you and, it make, there's nothing wrong with that making you happy. But really being attached to it and really thinking like, okay, this is, it's hard to explain. But really getting attached to it is kind of the issue. I feel like, Libra, that maybe you're finding more balance in that. I just want to put that out there because I think it's always a lesson that comes with the Wheel of Fortune. But I feel like maybe finding the center of the wheel is really the important part, because the farther along, here's one way I like to identify the Wheel of Fortune, or some spiritual lessons around the Wheel of Fortune, is that the farther away you are from the center, from source, the more vacillating and the highs and the lows will be. So the closer you can get to just being in the center and watching everything turn around you, but not really getting attached to the turning itself, I feel like that's where true happiness is. And I think that maybe for you, Libra, that this is kind of where that's coming from. Potentially. It is definitely not. I think I saw a descending number, like 6. I see descending numbers in like multiples of 2s and 3s and 1s. So I saw 624 or 642 right before, right as I pulled this card. So I think that was really just a message to let me know that your message around this card is different than the one it was for Gemini. So I do think this is as a physical manifestation more positive, but both highs and lows really can really take it out of us and like cause a lot of unrest. regardless of how positive or negative the manifestation is. Like, let's say getting a new job is still, like, getting married or getting a new job or moving somewhere you've always wanted to move is still a stressful experience, even if it's a positive one. So I think a lot of the time we think of stress as a very negative term, but stress comes in all kinds of ways. But I think that is good for that card. Now we will get into your main spread, Libra. Alright, Libra, so I have your 2 decks here for you. So I do the main spread in a tarot, and then I pull some oracle cards as advice. So for your main spread, we will be using the Lioness Oracle. And then for your oracle cards, we'll be using the Moonology Oracle cards. If you're interested in any of my decks that I own, any ones that you can buy that I've found online, you can look into the description for links. So let's get into your main spread. Right on the bottom, I see a King of Swords in reverse, but so if you've been feeling the inability to make decisive decisions, I mean, that's kind of Libra, to be honest, at least shadow side of Libra. So sometimes it can be hard when you can weigh out both sides so evenly. You're just trying to make things peaceful. Oop. I have not started the prayer. We're not taking those, but oh no, I did. Well, I guess I'm not taking them. They come again. They come again. Alright. What messages do you have for Libra? 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 There we go. A Knight of Cups in reverse. This feels like unrequited advances, like someone making a proposal and them getting totally shut down and being very dejected. And then we have Judgment and the 5 of Wands. I feel like the Judgment is the 5 of Wands, like basically the result of a situation. The what has come of a situation is now a internal, not maybe an internal conflict. Interesting that it came up, that the word internal came up. Interesting. This might be the inner turmoil around this rejection that this Knight of Cups is feeling. It could also be that this proposal, this offering of a cup that came from a knight to another party has now caused a lot of chaos within maybe a social circle, could be a work setting, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, but I can't help but think of the Knight of Cups as a very romantic, passionate, forthcoming lover. So something is really like, and that with the Judgment card, it's like said and done. Like, there is no take backs with the Judgment card. There's a lot of release because whatever what needed to be said was said, and now it's just the fallout that has come from it. Interesting. That's interesting because I was getting something very positive for Libra, and maybe being it, you're just able to kind of see the turnings of this and kind of understand, like, you know, not getting caught up in what this is. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. Any other messages for Libra? Any other messages for Libra? What are we looking at here? An Eight of Wands. This feels kind of petty. I don't know where that comes from. It just suddenly just came through. But the Five of Wands feels kind of petty. It doesn't seem like a huge um if this is manifesting as kind of like a conflict of differing ideas, differing thoughts, feelings, it's not something that can't be resolved. But I'm also getting that there was a very dissatisfied. This might be a subgroup. It might just be a small message for some. But there was this a Knight of Cups that was just very dissatisfied, unhappy, just had something on their chest to speak because it was causing a lot of inner turmoil. And finally, the message was delivered, or they just, it's almost like they just didn't want to carry it around anymore. And it caused the fight, or part of it was that it was, you had a conflict with somebody else and you came forward and actually talked about it. And you're kind of waiting for the judgment. You may have delivered this message now, whether or not you had this message delivered to you, and now you're kind of in this, you've received it, but you're waiting for the judgment on it. So that's for some people. Let's see. We have a Eight of Wands represented here, which is, it's a very unusual Eight of Wands. I do love it. The Two of Pentacles, which this is one of my favorite cards in the deck. There's really a sense of unease around this Two of Pentacles. And then we have a Six of Wands here. And I'm seeing this continuation of this flower. So something pouring from this Knight of Cups, kind of like, it's almost like this knight had this cup and just, or had this thing they were holding onto and they just dumped it out. I don't know if my hands are like making sense here, but they dumped it out and it kind of flowed over this group. Either it was about conflict, or was about an inner conflict that the knight had, or created conflict because something was out of alignment with another person. And then it kind of came here, and now it's interesting. I'm getting this very tense setting, where kind of people are just pretending to get along. It's not actually it's like it's a forced peace. That's interesting, but it's kind of cascaded from this, and there's something. It may have been an argument or a I don't know if an argument's necessarily right. It could be, but it could have been some sort of disagreement about finances. I see these two opposite and equal Libra, like ideas or paths around money that are just like in diametrically opposed to one another. So it could have even been as small, like, and also it just being the two, it could have been as small as like, oh, I want to get, I would hate for it to be like going to IKEA and being like, oh, I want to spend money on that. Oh, I want to get a new blank. And the other person being like, no, absolutely not. We were here for the meatballs. That's how they get you with the meatballs. I'm sorry. It was just a very unusual example. Have I been to IKEA before? Yes. uh, yeah, like somebody wanted to really move fast on something. Like really, it could be. Oh, especially if it's petty, because I was getting this petty thing. Like somebody really was feeling emotionally dissatisfied or discontent where they were, and they wanted to go on a trip. And then it became a big fight about money, and now there's this like weird stalemate around it, and the judgment hasn't actually come in. This is still kind of, you're still waiting for to receive this message, or right, waiting for this thing to actually be resolved. You're kind of in this holding period, or this holding what's the word, like a pattern, holding pattern, because you're just trying to get through your day and go through the motions. Because, like, for me, this upright, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but this upright really is a, like, a group of people who've come to peace with one another to celebrate something, but in this, it's like, I'm getting this, like, sense of false peace, trying to go through the motions and, like, get along with each other. There's a stiffness to it. It doesn't feel good. Because I think this is the energy, this Five of Wands is the energy underneath the Six, which makes sense because it comes before the Six. Relighting the incense. Though I don't think there's much left. Okay, I just blew a bunch of ash everywhere, so good for me. Yeah, and it really feels like it's something that's, it's not okay. Whoever the Knight of Cups is, it may or may not be appropriate. It may or may not be necessarily, what's the word? I'm not saying it's the Knight of Cups' fault. It could be the Knight of Cups' fault. Maybe they're in the wrong, but it really is emanating forth, or the catalyst was this communication from this Knight of Cups, or even an action from a Knight of Cups. But yeah, that's really what kind of is the result here. What other messages do you have? Oh, another Eight of Cups. Unusual. So I shouldn't be too surprised at getting the same cards in readings, to be honest. And a King of I'm sorry. Yeah, the incense is done. So for Gemini's reading, yeah, Jesus. For Gemini's reading, I got the Eight of Cups with a King of Pentacles in reverse. You get the Eight of Cups with a King of Pentacles in reverse. And always with the like, in this situation, I'm getting, again, weird, like, patriarchal, like, conflict or some sort of walking away from a really, like, unbalanced father figure, not necessarily even a man, but just someone who was kind of domineering, controlling, really a sense of greed and but a sense of greed and lots of opulence, but or lots of abundance, but stingy. Like, they have a lot. It feels like somebody who has a lot, who has more than enough, and is not willing to share, and feeling like this person, almost like this person owed you, or you expected some support from this person, and they gave you every indication. And that's what this Knight of Cups is upset about. And it seems like this could be a family dynamic. Oh, okay, hold on. But, like, this person, it seems like for a lot, maybe this is just for the air signs, but there's this it's almost like issues around stability, issues around a father figure, really. But I feel like here, because with Gemini, they were having a very hard time letting it go, and it was really about still holding on to some resentments and illusions about their ability to connect with people. But for you, I'm really feeling as though this is a letting go. It was really hard, and this feels like the communication about what was wrong with this person, with this King of Pentacles in reverse. And it's caused a lot of conflict. It was probably an inner conflict for this knight, and it's then, once communicated, creates conflict for others because now they're forced to reckon with it, and now you're kind of in this in between. The trip thing was definitely it was funny, just that trip thing is very coming through again, but like I think it's just I think that's a subgroup. But I do sense that we have both of these eights here, so there's like an emotional movement and potentially also a physical movement, but there's new action being taken in regards to a King of Pentacles who is unhealthy. This is not a healthy relationship that you want to be in with this person. And I feel like, oh, okay. So with that Wheel of Fortune that I pulled earlier, I'll show you again. This upright, and I'm feeling very positive about it, is that I'm getting the sense that you moving on and willing to speak the truth that you have around this King of Pentacles and accept the judgment that comes, whatever that looks like. And whatever that looks like being the physical manifestation, the Wheel of Fortune manifestation of this shift. But you're able to actually just stay at the center of this and not get caught up in it. You're able to make motion and make, you're able to move forward, move on emotionally, and move forward through action to um create the distance, and also the new cycle, the shift for yourself away from this king. Because this Two of Pentacles also feels very, there's very much a lack feeling, this uneasiness, like, oh, these are the only two I have, this is all I can get. And you're not willing to wait around on somebody to actually help you out anymore, because you're realizing that they're, the only reason that they've ever been generous is to bolster themselves up, to make themselves feel better. It's very ego driven. I mean, the lion, like the lion being Leo, which is like the full Leo. Leo energy is really the full culmination of the ego. And the ego is not bad, not necessarily. I think we use ego a lot in when we talk about ego, we're talking about an unhealthy ego. But in reverse, this lion really gives me the unhealthy egoic, like self-serving. But I feel like there's just been this transformation and this rebirth around this situation, and you're no longer allowing it to keep you bound. As in, you're not in this cycle again where you're just on the very outskirts of that and being identified and attached to what it looks like on the outside, because you know that in the center is where the magic actually happens. You know that you don't have to go around the circle. You can observe the motions from the center and you move less. You don't get turned constantly. You'll get, I'm like, I'm getting, like being in the teacups at like Disneyland, or like a merry-go-round at a park or something. And the further out you are on the edge, the more movement and sickness you will feel. But the closer you can bring yourself to the center, which can be difficult because the motion wants to pull your energy to the edge, but the closer you can bring yourself to the center, the much more you'll be so much more stable and so much more content and at peace. But yeah, so this piece was, that's big. That's huge, especially for you, Libra. I feel like that's a very big revelation for you to go through. Any other messages for Libra? I don't know if we can get much closer because this is not the full card. That's okay. I'll figure it out. Oh. Pop. Interesting. This is very Pentacles heavy for you, I am noticing. And Wands heavy, but we just have a king and or not a king, a knight and a queen come through on the Wands, or Pentacles, I'm sorry. And then a Two of Wands and an Ace of Pentacles. I'm not sure if you can see that from there. No, we will scooch everything forward just a smidge. I think that's close enough. It's a lot to get in on my tiny table, but this, I mean, like, the family dynamic becomes really apparent when you see this knight and this queen here with the king. I mean, that really just, that already implies
a page if there is a page involved, but two knights and then a king and a queen and a true pair. So these are um, this is if this has been a father figure for you, then this is their partner, who seems in like a lot healthier of a place, and so does this Knight of Pentacles. But they all seem it's interesting because they all seem to align in a way, being of the same suit. But this Knight of Cups is kind of the oddball out, and is not really able to understand the motives of or identify with um, the values of the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. Um, yeah, and with this Two of Wands, I'm getting this evaluation around options, or evaluation of what is actually valuable to me. What is it that what am I gonna hold a candle to? Is what I just got. What do I hold a candle to? Like, what is it that I actually care about and is meaningful for me? Outside of this relationship, or family dynamic that I have with these people who all seem to understand one another and have the same set of values, but me, I don't. I just don't. And this Ace of Pentacles here in reverse. I think there's been a lot of false starts within this family around this Ace of Pentacles. Like, or for this Knight of Cups, that has had false starts around the suit of Pentacles, I guess. I'm not sure how to explain that. It's like everyone in the family said, "Oh, you should go for this. You should go for," like, I think that's part of what this evaluation energy is about. But this knight has been tucked into the value set of the King of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, and Queen of Pentacles, even though even though they seem to have a better, more balanced sense of it, this king still, they still share the same kinds of values. It's just that they all think one way. But the you may I feel like this is you, Libra, in some ways, because that's kind of the difficulty for you, is to really, I feel like for you, breaking from the social paradigm, or what's the word? Breaking from the pack, I guess, kind of is what I'm getting, because I see a pack here, and then this is just like a pack of humans, and this is where the conflict's happening. But I see that they tried to get you in on what they found valuable, and it just didn't work for you. It just didn't work for you. So that's why this is this false start energy, and then needing, like, why doesn't this work for me? Because this isn't for you. But, there's a little bit of a narrow mindedness in this, I'll call them the Pentacles family, is this Knight, Queen, and King, is this Pentacles family, and you're this oddball, like, black sheep, Knight of Cups out. Um, and suddenly needing to, like, you've had enough false starts around this that you finally understand that these are not the seeds you're meant to sow, because you've learned you're learning. Either you're learning what it is, um, that you actually value, and I think that kind of comes in with this Two of Pentacles here, is like diametrically opposed values. So, and it could be within the sphere of money. It could be within, um, like the sphere of what is tangible, but it could also be like, what is it that I find valuable in and of itself? It doesn't necessarily have to have the physical component. Um, but I just sense that you're really moving towards it. And as much as it's upsetting your family, if this is a family situation, or this, it could be a work situation, just some sort of community of sorts is kind of what I'm getting. And in some ways, I do feel like part of this is fueled by receiving some sort of message from the divine that this wasn't for you. It finally clicked. Whatever it was, it came through. And then we have these two butterflies and the start of a transformation, and um, it being manifest here with the leaving of the king, leaving behind of this very negative King of Pentacles. But I'm really liking that for you, Libra. It's rough though. I'm sure this isn't an easy thing. And at the bottom of the deck, I usually don't. Um, I just had to happen to have it flipped. Is the Chariot, and it's just, yeah, more forward momentum. You're going forward in a balanced way, um, towards what it is that you actually brings you happiness and brings you satisfaction and helps you blossom. I will pull that one out, leave that there. Feels good. Now, I will get into pulling your oracle cards from the Moonology deck. If you enjoyed this reading and you would like to receive more readings like this, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you get notified every time I post. If you'd like to claim this reading, if this reading was for you and you want to return the energy for this reading, please hit the like button, just to let me know. It really means a lot and also helps people who need this message to receive it. If you want to start a dialogue, tell me how this is manifesting in your life personally, and or just have any comments, concerns, questions. I'm so happy to connect and talk to y'all and just see what it is that, like, what's going on in your journey. Like, how's your life going? I think it's really easy, especially I think it's also helpful because talking to a camera for readings is still very new to me. But we have a North Node in reverse. I'm not sure. I didn't mean to look at that, but I will take it. But getting to actually talk to y'all and communicate really helps me feel like I'm reading for people. And if you are interested in a personal reading from me, another three. If you are interested in a personal reading from me, you can go to my website, friendlymystic.com. There's a link in the description that will lead you to all the information you need to book that reading. All right. So we have a North Node in reverse, and here it says step out of your comfort zone. I do feel like you're getting to that place. Um, there's a sense that this hasn't quite manifested yet, or you're still feeling it in reverse anyway, is what I mean to say. You're still feeling some worry around making this choice or finally falling through and like what the judgment of it will be. But it's a positive step. That's just how I feel about it. Anytime you go, I mean, depending on your conceptualization of the North Node, it feels like getting out of what you've been comfortable with and making this Eight of Cups and Eight of Wands movement is really positive, and that's kind of what I'm getting from the North Node. Then we have a mutable moon. Mutable moon. Nothing is yet set in stone. And that's an interesting one. I think it's also just to be aware that whatever changes you're making in your life right now are not currently concrete. You may be feeling like you're going to be on shaky ground for a little bit. You might feel as though you seek the stability that, or like the predictability of what once was, and leaving that behind as part of what makes it difficult to get into this North Node energy. And then we have a new moon in Cancer in reverse, which is you and your loved ones are safe. So this in reverse, I think, is very indicative to the cycle, which it's kind of like I'm getting having to find new loved ones in some regard, a new relationship with loved ones, a sense of parting ways with loved ones. As much as it feels painful, like that Cancerian like need for family and home, like stepping out of the comfort zone into this almost murky water, not necessarily murky in a bad way, but just like you can't really see all of what's going to happen. So you have there's this fear, and you're leaving this comfort zone. And Cancer is square would be square to whatever placement you're reading this for. So it may just kind of there's a little bit of conflict there. This also points to the familial conflict, but I think the more you can get comfortable in the uncomfortable, in what seems very unreliable or I don't want to say treacherous because that's not necessarily what's happening. It's more of just like unpredictable. So just because it's unpredictable doesn't mean it's unsafe. It's just you don't know what it is. So uh, it's kind of putting you on edge when you're very used to the Cancer sort of closed or like protected, sheltered kind of Cancer. It's kind of when the crab sheds its shell and is now in this very vulnerable state and seeking a new one. I don't know if it's necessarily crabs seek new shells, but I know they shed and they become very vulnerable when they outgrow their old home. Um, and I feel like that's kind of what it is for you. There's a sense of rawness and like um, newness here because you're making this forward momentum away from a toxic family or away from feeling so identified with the family that you have that you don't understand yourself. Um, but yeah, so just take it one day at a time. Be willing to make the leaps that you need to in order to move from this current space of predictability. Just because something feels safe doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. Often, when we live in pain or we live in trauma, we forget we don't really know what safe is. It's just what feels familiar. What's familiar to us will feel safe, and we're kind of um, trained from birth to feel like what is unsafe is safe. So we're kind of we have to relearn what safe is, and even though safe and that safety will feel unsafe to us because it is so unfamiliar. I don't know if that's for anybody. That's from my heart. It's definitely a personal experience I've had in my life, so I'm feeling as though somebody else will connect with it. But Libra, that was your reading. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you're getting a lot of. I hope you were able to get perspective on the situation that you're currently in. Um, Stay peaceful. Stay centered. Love you. Bye.